Now, to begin with, my dear students, welcome to class 11 science class on the chapter chemical bonding and molecular structure. Today is the 8th day of the chemistry class conducting 27th of August 2021. Today is supposed to be an alumni day. I am an alumni of St. Augustine School, Kalimpong. So it is my day today. So I am not going to take rest, but I am going to continue with the class. So to begin with, yesterday I was talking about different types of hybridization. Okay, so today I'll be talking about a completely new theory for you all, which is a very interesting theory, very interesting and very important theory for all of you to understand. So to begin with this, what is molecular orbital theory? Now this molecular orbital theory, let us go to the basics, the very simple things to understand from this theory. This molecular orbital theory, my dear students, okay, it is abbreviated as MOT, MOT, MOT. In short, molecular orbital theory. It is a theory on chemical bonding developed in the beginning of the century, 20th century, by two fellows, Hund and Mulliken, to describe successfully the properties of different molecules. Because the valence bond theory was a failure, that is why these two fellows, Hund and Mulliken, they worked together to come to a very good theory which is called molecular orbital theory. Now here, the molecular orbital theory has proved to be more powerful than the valence bond theory, since orbitals described by the MOT, molecular orbital theory, reflect the geometries of the molecules to which it is applied. So this theory becomes very important. Now, this theory was a result of the failure of the valence bond theory, which is not in our syllabus. It was there in the syllabus earlier batches. They used to study this theory. I used to explain them, but we are not going to discuss a theory which has been failure. Okay, so we're going to learn the theory which is in contemporary to us today. So let us go further to the molecular orbital theory in detail. Moving to our next slide, let us just read out the key features, the important features of the molecular orbital theory, which are listed on your screen point wise. Now, the first point over here, you can see when we make molecular orbitals, definitely we use atomic orbitals. So the total number of molecular orbitals formed will always be equal to the total number of atomic orbitals offered by the bonding species. This is the first point, and this I will explain you by inserting a new slide over here. Let me take the example of hydrogen molecule. Hydrogen molecule. This is the formula of hydrogen molecule. Now, we know an atom of hydrogen has atomic number 1. Its electronic configuration according to the new concept is 1s1, sorry. It is 1s1. An atom of hydrogen has an atomic orbital, s orbital, containing one electron only. Now, for the formation of hydrogen molecule, we need altogether two hydrogen atoms. This is one hydrogen, this is another hydrogen. We need two hydrogen atoms. So I'm going to draw a very simplified version of the atomic orbitals combining together to form the molecular orbitals. So one hydrogen atom, its electronic configuration is 1s1. Other hydrogen atom, its electronic configuration is again 1s1. Now these two atomic orbitals, they will mix, they will combine to form what is called molecular orbitals. They will form molecular orbitals like this. Okay, so this is the increasing energy for the molecular orbitals. So this one is bonding. Bonding, sigma stands for bonding. Okay, bonding, there's no star over there. Bonding 1s, and this one is sigma star. Sigma star is anti-bonding. Anti-bonding 1s. Now the electrons, there is one electron over here, there is one electron over here, one electron over here, there is one electron over here in the each atomic orbital. So these two electrons will come together and they will fill the molecular orbital which is lower in energy. This part which you can see, this part is a demonstration of a molecular orbital. Is a demonstration of a molecular orbital. And this one and this one, these are atomic orbitals. Okay, so this is how two atomic orbitals they combine to form two molecular orbitals. But the filling of electrons take place or happen by following the Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity over here. So both these electrons occupy the bonding molecular orbital, which is denoted by sigma 1s. Why sigma? Because s orbitals, the orientation in which they are overlapping is always spherical. There is no head-on, there is no sideways overlap, since their s orbitals are spherical. So this is the first point which I have explained to you with the help of this slide. So again, I read the first point. The total number of molecular orbitals formed will always be equal to the total number of atomic orbitals offered by the bonding species, resulting in the formation of an equal number of molecular orbitals. Done. Number two, the next point. There exist different types of molecular orbitals. One is bonding molecular orbitals, another one is anti-bonding molecular orbitals, and non-bonding molecular orbitals. Bonding, anti-bonding, non-bonding. Non-bonding molecular orbitals contain the lone pair of electrons. Of these, my dear students, speaking very frankly, anti-bonding molecular orbitals will always have higher energy, which I have shown you in the previous slide over here. This is anti-bonding molecular orbital. If you look at the energy graph over here, it has higher energy than the bonding one. Okay. Now, than the parent orbitals, whereas bonding molecular orbitals will always have lower energy than the parent orbitals. So this is the second point to understand very clearly. Moving to the next point, the third point over here, the orbitals, the electrons are filled into molecular orbitals in the increasing order of orbital energy, from the orbital with the lowest energy to the orbital with the highest energy. So if there are, by chance, if there are more electrons, then the electron will first fill the lower orbitals, then they fill the higher molecular orbitals. The next one is the most effective combination of atomic orbitals for the formation of molecular orbitals occur when the combining orbitals have similar energies. So this is possible when only when the orbitals which are combining, let's put one more slide over here, only when the orbitals which are combining they have similar energy. That means I can use 2s orbital, 2s orbital. Okay, this is a 2s atomic orbital. This is a 2s atomic orbital. If both these have say two electrons each, they will come together and they will form molecular orbital this way. They will form molecular orbital this way. This one is sigma 2s bonding. This one is sigma star 2s anti-bonding. So anti-bonding molecular orbitals, they contain a star asterisk over there above them. So now when these two electrons fill the molecular orbitals in the center over here, then this is what happens. There are total four electrons. So 1 2 3 4. So this is how we have filling of electrons into the molecular orbitals happening. Okay, so this was one example. Now moving to the next slide, a very important point I want to let you know is one of the main impacts, one of the most important impacts of this molecular orbital theory after its formulation is that it made a new way to understand the process of bonding, completely different way of understanding how bonding happens. Now, with this theory, the molecular orbitals are basically considered as linear combination of atomic orbitals. Atomic orbitals, if you draw a wave, one atomic orbital, this is possible. Another atomic orbital, I can draw another wave. I can draw another wave like this. Okay, it is possible. So, if there is a linear combination, if I lift this up, if I happen to lift this part, this part only, the second part, and put it above the other part, that time that is called linear combination of the atomic orbitals. Okay, now, so this is the main thing to be understood over here. The formation of molecular orbitals happens because of what? Linear combination of atomic orbitals. That you must remember. Okay. Now waiting for this slide to respond. Moving to the next slide. Okay. Now one example is on your screen. There's an approximation of the molecular orbital theory just by taking an example of hydrogen molecule, formation of hydrogen molecule. Two hydrogen atoms with their atomic orbitals, okay, atomic orbitals containing one s1 electron, one s1 electron here, another one s1 electron over here. And now this one, if you see, this one is a bonding molecular orbital, bonding molecular orbital sigma 1s, it is bonding. And this one is sigma star 1s orbital. Now when these two electrons they combine, they will come together and fill the bonding molecular orbital first, keeping this empty, because there are no electrons available, okay, to fill those anti-bonding molecular orbitals. And we know as we move from bonding to anti-bonding, the energy is increasing. This I will come to the energy, increasing energy after some time. Okay. Now moving to the next slide for today. Have a look at the next slide. That is what I was talking about. The most important factor for the formation of molecular orbitals is linear combination of atomic orbitals, and it is a method. It is called linear combination of atomic orbital method, LCAO. Get used to this term. Get used to MOT. MOT means molecular orbital theory. Get used to LCAO, linear combination of atomic orbital method. Now, molecular orbitals can generally be expressed through a linear combination of atomic orbitals, abbreviated to LCAO. Now, this linear combination of atomic orbitals are useful in estimation of the formation of these orbitals in the bonding between the atoms that make up a molecule. So they will explain us, they will help us understand or estimate what type of orbitals are going to be formed when these atomic orbitals combine. Now, we have heard about the Schrodinger equation, which led to the principal what do you call the numbers, quantum numbers, principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number, and spin quantum number. Now, according to the Schrodinger equation, which was used to describe the electron behavior for molecular orbitals, can be written in a method similar to that for atomic orbitals as well. Now, it is today an approximate method for representing molecular orbitals today, because nobody has yet still started further to study higher than molecular orbital theory. This is contemporary to today's date. Now it's more of a superimposition method where constructive interference means constructive. If all of you are singing a song together in the classroom, if you are singing the school song during the assembly together, that is constructive. But if class 6, 7, and 8 are singing the song at a slower rate than class 9, 10, and 11, 12, then there is a disturbance. Look, class 6, 7, and 8, they are singing slowly. Class 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, they are singing the school song faster. So what will happen in the assembly? There will be a lot of noise. Instead of the school song being audible properly, there will be a lot of noise. So that is called destructive interference. When the entire school is singing the school song together in one rhythmic flow, that time it is constructive interference. So here also similarly, in the understanding of molecular orbital theory, whenever atomic orbitals they interfere in a constructive manner, then two atomic orbitals they form wave functions. They produce bonding molecular orbitals. Otherwise, if there is a destructive interference, then the bonding which is formed is non-bonding molecular orbital. It's also similarly called anti-bonding molecular orbital. Am I clear, my dear students? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now moving to the next slide for today. Look at the next screen. On your screen, you can see the conditions for linear combination of atomic orbitals. I will make this very, very clear. The conditions that are required for the linear combination of atomic orbitals are given below. First one is same energy of combining atomic orbitals. The atomic orbitals combining to form molecular orbitals should have comparable energy, means the energy should be same. This means that 2p orbitals of an atom can combine with another 2p orbitals of another atom, but 1s and 2p cannot combine together as they have appreciable difference in the energy. They have quite remarkable difference in their energy. Okay, now moving further over here to the same symmetry, the second point over here, number 2, same symmetry about molecular axis. The combining atom should have the same symmetry. You know what is the meaning of symmetry? If I have a say rectangle, symmetry is possible this way, symmetry is possible this way, symmetry is possible this way also. But in the case of molecular orbitals, if there are orbitals being formed, there should be a symmetry. You know, this is a molecular orbital from atomic orbitals. Okay, these are the atomic orbitals. Okay, atomic orbitals. These are the molecular orbitals. So there should be a symmetry. If there are filling of electrons happening from the atomic orbitals, so one electron here, another electron here, another electron here, another electron over here. So that is how symmetry happens around the molecular axis for proper combination. Otherwise, the electron density will be sparse and the molecule will become unstable. For example, all the suborbitals of 2p have the same energy, but still 2pz orbital of an atom can only combine with a 2pz orbital of another atom, but cannot combine with either 2px or 2py. Same thing goes for 2py orbitals also. 2py orbital can combine with 2py orbital, and 2p what you call x can combine with 2px orbital, as they have different axes of symmetry. Okay, so here if I take this to be the say y-axis, if this is the y-axis over here, just a second. Okay, can you see the screen? Okay, if this is, let me use one slide. Okay, otherwise the slides are moving here and there, disturbing the class. Okay, now let us take an example over here. Axis, okay, orbital over here. Okay, say this is the z axis. If this is the say y axis, if this is the x axis like this, okay, x1 over here, okay, this is the axis. Okay, now coming to the point over here, uh, the z axis is considered the molecular axis of the symmetry. Over here, the z axis, wherever it is the axis, molecular axis, which divides the molecule exactly into two halves. Okay, it is not disturbing the y or the x axis. Okay, now there has to be a symmetry. Now number 3, proper orientation, proper overlap between atomic orbitals. The two atomic orbitals will combine to form molecular orbitals if the overlap is proper. Greater the extent of overlap of orbitals, greater will be the nuclear density between the nuclei of the two atoms. There will be more electrons between the nuclei. The condition can be understood by two simple experiments. For the formation of proper molecular orbital, proper energy and orientation are required. So remember this. For the formation of proper molecular orbital, we need proper energy, same energy, and proper orientation. Okay, like if you want to overlap something like this, something say if there is a say p y and this is p say z, so this overlap is different. No, this is not proper. This is what? Improper overlap. Improper overlap. So this is not permissible. Okay, so if the overlap is happening, then it has to be either happen this way, or it has to happen this way, head on. Okay, that is only possible. For proper energy, the two atomic orbitals should have the same energy, and for proper orientation, the atomic orbitals should have proper overlap and the same molecular axis of symmetry. So the molecular axis of symmetry must be followed over here very strictly. Look at the next slide over here. Very carefully. This slide becomes very, very important for all of us, okay, even for me. These are the two electron waves when there is bonding molecular orbital forming. Okay, whenever there is bonding molecular orbital forming, this half part above this part is for bonding. So if these two waves they add with each other, plus and minus overlap with each other, so there is an increase in the amplitude. there is an increase in the amplitude. So this type of bonding is resulted because of addition of wave functions which are in phase, which are what, in phase, which are in phase. That means the positive and the positive are overlapping, the negative and the negative are also overlapping, so these are in phase. That time there is addition of wave functions, and that's how we get bonding, bonding molecular orbitals, either sigma or pi, depending on what type of orbitals are overlapping. Now, if you look below over here, the wave functions of two atomic orbitals this way. Okay. Now, if they are not overlapping, they are not in phase. If they are not in phase, if they are not in, that means improper overlap. If this overlap happens this way, this way, this way, okay, it is improper, not in phase. Then there will be what? Subtraction of wave function. Actually, if you look at the textbooks, the overlapping has been shown this way. The minus is overlapping with the plus. That time it is called subtraction of wave functions. So whenever we subtract wave functions, we get psi star is equal to psi a minus psi b. Over here, psi is equal to psi a plus psi b for bonding, and here in this case it is called non-bonding molecular orbitals happening. Okay, so is this diagrammatic explanation clear to all of us? Is it clear to all of us?
Yes, sir.
This is the wave, graphical representation of the wave of the first atom, say first hydrogen atom. This is the graphical representation of the second hydrogen atom, psi a psi b. If they are in phase, if they are overlapping in phase, if this is lifted and put above this, they will be in phase. Okay, then there will be addition of wave functions, which results in higher amplitude because there is addition. But if they are not in phase, then they will be resulting in the subtraction of the wave function of the two atoms of similar atoms. And that will result in formation of non-bonding molecular orbitals. Okay, so this is how we apply the linear combination of atomic orbital method to understand bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now, my dear students, moving to the next slide, there is a question once more. What are molecular orbitals? Wonderful question, because we might finish off with the molecular orbitals, we might finish off understanding the Mahabharata, and afterwards somebody can ask who was Draupadi. I think that would be a problem. No? So that's why I'm asking the question again and again several times. What are molecular orbitals? Now, the space in a molecule, the space in any molecule in which the probability of finding an electron is maximum. This can be calculated using the molecular orbital function. Molecular orbital functions, either psi is equal to psi a plus psi b, or psi star for antibonding is equal to psi a minus psi b. Okay, this is possible. The molecular orbitals are basically mathematical functions that describe the wave nature of electrons in a given molecule. This wave nature of electrons I have discussed in the earlier chapter, that is structure of atom. Now, these orbitals can be constructed via the combination of hybridized orbitals or atomic orbitals from each atom belonging to the specific molecule. Molecular orbitals provide a great model via the molecular orbital theory to demonstrate the bonding of molecules. If you look at a textbook, then you will find in the textbook the molecular orbital theory has been explained first, and then after that, at the end of the towards the end of the chapter, hybridization is explained. But I have not done that explanation. I have first explained you all the different types of hybridization: sp, sp2, sp3, dsp2, sp3d, sp3d2, and sp3d3. And after that, only today I have just begun the explanation of the molecular orbital theory. Now, moving further to the next slide over here, let us understand the types of molecular orbitals in writing. According to the molecular orbital theory, there exist three primary types of molecular orbitals that are formed from the linear combination of atomic orbitals. They are discussed below. The first one is anti-bonding molecular orbitals. The electron density is concentrated behind the nuclei. So remember this. In anti-bonding molecular orbitals, it is behind the nuclei of the two bonding atoms in anti-bonding molecular orbitals. This results in the nuclei of the two atoms being pulled away from, they are repelling each other. This kind of orbitals weaken the bond between the two atoms. So it is better not to have anti-bonding molecular orbitals in a stable molecule for a molecule to be more stable. The other one is non-bonding molecular orbitals. In the case of non-bonding molecular orbitals, due to complete lack of symmetry in the compatibility of two bonding atomic orbitals, the molecular orbitals formed have no positive or negative interaction with each other. These are containing lone pairs. So these types of orbitals do not affect the bond between the two atoms in molecule. And the first one, which I've already told you, which are called bonding molecular orbitals, just represented by the sigma or star, when which are formed when the atomic orbitals, the wave functions of the individual atomic orbitals, when they overlap in phase, the positive of one overlaps with the positive of the other. Okay, so now let us move further to the next slide and understand the characteristics of bonding molecular orbitals. What are the characteristics? This is the first type. This is the first type bonding. Second type I've already discussed in the previous slide over here, anti-bonding, and the third type is non-bonding. Now this is more important. Characteristics of bonding molecular orbitals. Now, in the case of bonding molecular orbitals, the probability of finding electrons is in the internuclear region of the bonding molecular orbital is greater than that of combining atomic orbitals. So we find the electrons where, if this is a nucleus, another nucleus, that means we'll find the electrons over here in between the two nuclei. The electrons present in bonding molecular orbitals result in the attraction between the two atoms. So because of this electron present over there between the two nuclei, that causes the two nuclei to attract each other in spite of electrons being present over there. The bonding molecular orbital has lower energy as a result of attraction and hence greater stability than that of the combining atomic orbitals. They are formed by the additive effect of the atomic orbitals, so that the amplitude of the new wave is given by a new function pi is equal to psi a plus psi b. This is pi, phi. Okay. Now there are other bonding molecular orbitals also represented by sigma or pi or delta. This delta I will hardly use. We'll use only pi and what you call sigma and pi in our syllabus. Okay. Now moving further to the characteristics of anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Anti-bonding molecular orbitals, as I've told you repeatedly, which are formed when atomic orbitals, while combining by the linear combination of atomic orbital method, are not in phase. The positive of one overlaps with the negative of the other, which means they are not in phase. They resulted because of the what you call subtraction of the atomic orbitals, which are not in phase. So here, in this case of anti-bonding molecular orbitals, the probability of finding the electron in the internuclear region decreases in the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. The electrons present in the anti-bonding molecular orbital result in the repulsion. So there is a repulsion over here. The anti-bonding molecular orbitals have higher energy because of the repulsive forces, and they lower the stability of the entire molecule. They are formed by the subtractive effect of the atomic orbital. The amplitude is given by pi dash, or we also write it as what? We also write it as either sigma star, okay, or we can write it as psi star. This way, psi star for anti-bonding. They are represented by same sigma star or pi star or delta star. This star means it is anti-bonding. Okay. Now, moving further, after the characteristics of anti-bonding molecular orbitals, the next slide, there is a question: why? Why are anti-bonding molecular orbitals or anti-bonding molecular orbitals high energy? The reason is there is repulsive force. There is a repulsive force between the two nuclei of the two combining atoms just because the electrons are behind the nuclei. And because of this repulsive force, there is a higher energy possessed by the entire molecule. The energy levels of bonding molecular orbitals are always lower than those of the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. This is because the electrons in the orbital are attracted by the nuclei in the case of bonding molecular orbitals, whereas in this case the nuclei repel each other in the case of anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So you must remember this. The anti-bonding molecular orbitals are high energy because electrons are found behind the nuclei. Between the two nuclei there are no electrons, because of which instead of attraction, there is a repulsive force, making the energy of the anti-bonding molecular orbitals higher. Okay, now after all these discussions, it is very important for us to try to read and understand the differences between bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbitals on your screen for you all. So this is a different chart which you will find in the textbook also. The same differences are given in the textbook also, and indirectly I have explained you all the differences already. The first point, molecular orbitals formed by the additive effect. Over here, antibonding, they are formed by the subtractive effect. The second point, the probability of finding the electrons is more in the case of bonding molecular orbitals between the nuclei. But over here, in the case of antibonding, the probability of finding electrons is less in antibonding molecular orbitals. They are found behind the nuclei. There is also a node. Node means empty space between the antibonding molecular orbitals, between the two nuclei, where the electron density is zero. The third point, they are formed by the combination of plus and minus of the electron wave, which I have shown you in the previous diagram. This antibonding are formed by the overlap of plus with the minus of the other part. Next one, the electron density in the bonding molecular orbital is in the internuclear region in between the two nucleus if it is high. As a result, the nuclei are shielded from each other and hence the repulsive force is less, attraction is more. In the case of antibonding molecular orbitals, the electron density of the antibonding molecular orbitals in the internuclear region is very low, and so the nuclei are directly exposed to each other, resulting in what? Repulsion. Therefore, the nuclei are less shielded from each other. The bonding molecular orbitals are represented by sigma or pi or delta, but in the case of antibonding, sigma star, pi star, or delta star. Okay, so with this, I would like to end my class here only. The chapter is not complete. I was not able to complete the chapter, but definitely in the next class on Monday, or probably, possibly, I can say, I will complete this chapter by showing you how to draw the diagrams for what we call species like hydrogen molecule, or say hydrogen molecular cation, or hydrogen molecular anion, or helium molecule, or helium molecular anion, and so on. Okay, so maximum up to species containing 14 electrons in total. Okay, so with this I would like to end my class, but before that I will have to take the attendance. Please hang on over there, do not leave the class. Let me record the attendance, and after that only you may leave the class successfully. Okay, so now just hang on over there. I'm just saving my document so that I can move to your page. Okay, document is saved.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I heard that you were taking attendance before this class, sir, but I was not able to join because my Wi-Fi had crashed. So I was present at that time.
Who is this?
Sir, Nishal Guru. Sir, Nishal Guru.
Nishal Guru. Okay, let me take your name. Okay, Nishal, Nishal, Nishal Guru. No,
Sir,
Nishal Guru. Okay, Nishal Guru
no.
taken. Okay.
Sir, me too,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I
Now
couldn't join on.
Nishal Guru is done. Who is the other one?
Sir, Rikesh.
Rikesh.
Yes, sir.
Show me your face. Show me your face. Rikesh. Rikesh, show me your face. Switch on your
Sir.
camera. I can see your face.
Sir, my
Rikesh.
camera is on.
Rikesh, what is your full name? What happened to your hair?
Sir, nothing.
What is your full name? Rikesh what?
Sir, Rikesh Pokhrel.
Rikesh Pokhrel. Okay, you are a different fellow before in class 10. Now your hair has become long, you know. Why don't you have a
Yes,
haircut?
sir.
You have a haircut, man. Such a handsome fellow, spoiling your face. Okay, put off your camera. Thank you so much. Okay, boys. So now I will
Yes,
just
sir.
leave the class. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.